Day one. The day I came here was the worst day of my life. I'll admit it, it was a big mistake. I'm a wartime photojournalist. I've seen it all. Horror, famine, death. The real stuff of nightmares. At least, that's what I thought. That was until I saw a corpse get up, walk, and kill. You probably think I'm nuts. The dead getting up and walking? Zombies. I'm not nuts, though. Right now, if things go well, I may get my hands on a Pulitzer or something. It's not like you hear about too many zombie stories in the news these days. So I guess there are only two things left to do. Film everything I can, and survive until help arrives.
For 65 years, I have ruled this empire. Generals and kings have knelt at my command. But a darkness comes. The blood tide rises. These are the closing days of the Third Era. And the final hours of my life. Close shut the jaws of oblivion.
The end of days will soon be upon us. What is thy bidding?
I have summoned you to wreak vengeance.
There will be no escape for the innocent.
Kill all of them.
No forgiveness for the guilty.
And I want them to suffer.
And no mercy shown to mankind.
Make them suffer.
Good and being bad. Demonic.
The concepts of evil and justice are irrelevant. This is a mission. This Rowden City out of its misery. Frame City Killer.
For every vision of light, there will be one of darkness. For every moment of peace, there will be one of chaos. She alone holds the power to save this world. A legion of warriors, hidden inside the body of one. Only you can unleash them.
I'm ready for action. Packing provisions of visions verbally. Every word will be enhanced with the bass that puts you in a trance. Some dance, come take a chance. Dell won't do you wrong. Yeah. I've been in the rap game too long to falter. I rock like Gibraltar. Make you feel to the buck like an altar. Niggas improve when you have water problem with vibration that's in your back. Massage before you put it on the garages. The beat is garages. Hip-hop hopefuls will do well to know this. It ain't about who's the dopest. It's who gets the fans to focus upon you when they feel what the song do. I think I'm onto something when I got my new pumpkin. Now the music's flat. I can barely stand to hear it. And my rhymes are impeccable. And you think I said my music sounding like it's out of tin can. Just wrecks the whole vibe and strive for perfection. Why you think they call this a perfection, eh? Can't forget the bass.
Ghost, command. UAV detects enemies to the north. Eliminate them.
Hostiles approaching.
Enemy down! Go, go, go! We've taken up positions in the embassy. The president is safe. Entrances and exits are locked down. Major, Lieutenant Bullen is down. And President, he's dead too. Dead, sir! Negative, negative. The VIP is down, but needs help. Repeat, we have the VIP down and need a medic now. Safety of the President is priority.
Jack, Razor!
gave us freedom. But we can never be free, even for a split second. We know our souls will burn to ashes. I'll be born again as a firestorm, and put the city into a storm.
For my people.
Where's the backup? We're on our way. In 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's too late.
Why are you giving this to us? You should do this too.
Choice, and we'll go first.
I don't believe in Satan's old man. You don't have to know the reason. Just remember...
The bed is waiting for us in the sewer.
2006. Webster presents.
Use your gun, soldier.
It's in the game.
Damp down fire. Close down stove. Shut window. And draw curtains. You should get inside your inner refuge and stay there.
The game is very close to the movie in terms of emotion. We've been working a lot with Peter Jackson from the beginning. He really wanted us to be able to going deeper in this world because he's been creating a complete world around King Kong, and I think he wants the player to be immersed in this world, and he wanted us to play both on the human side, you know, through the eyes of a human. So that's why we have a FPS view when you are a human, and then you can see Jack Black in front of you, you know, talk to him, and that's quite funny. And Naomi Watts too. And in the same time, so when you are a human, you are the prey in this big island. Skull Island, it's full of predators. You are the prey. But when you play King Kong, you are the big king of the island. You know, you are the biggest predator of the island, and that is giving a kind of dynamic, very funny dynamic because you want to be Kong. You want to be, and then suddenly the game offers you the opportunity of being Kong and saving Anne, and that's interesting because it's creating this very powerful dynamic and different emotions and perceptions of the and vision of the same world. I think Peter Jackson is he knew that King Kong, there is something I would say subtle to express in King Kong. You know, it's the theme of Beauty and the Beast. You know, it's the big beast, but he's got heart, he's got a humanity, and I think he appreciated in Beyond Good and Evil, our previous game. He played this game. That's quite funny because during a meeting he said us that okay, he has played Beyond Good and Evil. He said that he thought that we could be able to express this humanity through sounds, musics, situations, and all these things. And so I think that's the main thing, the main collaboration. We're having this incredible conceptual art from Weta, and when we were in New Zealand on the sets, people were doing the trees and all these things using the same conceptual arts as the one we were using for the game, and it was quite funny because we really share these materials. I think we had two sources of inspiration. The movie itself, the main scenes in the movie, people they want to retrieve these scenes. You've got mythic scenes, very important scenes that you want to retrieve in the game. But the game is, I would say, 10 times longer than the movie, maybe a bit less. But so we had to create new sequences, and then the source of inspiration is the world of Skull Island. You know, it's not just an island like that for a movie. Peter Jackson told us the story of this island centuries after. That's incredible. He's got, you know, this big history, the background, and all these things. So it's not just a movie, it's a world. I wanted to avoid every platform effects, every collectible. There's no interface. It's concrete. You can take things, you can burn them, throw them, spread the fire. You can take a spear, throw a spear to a creature and take it back while it's dying. And it's very concrete. You know, you don't carry tons of objects on you. It's very realistic, you know. There's no interface. Once someone is suffering, you see that he's suffering and you understand the state without the life bar. So the game is very, I would say, in some point of view, is realistic. So when you are on the human side, your goal is to find Anne, in fact. That's a good story of the prince and the princess. So, but the bad guy is not really the bad guy, and that's the difference in King Kong. And when you reach them, it appears that King Kong is trying to defend Anne too. So when you play King Kong, you're trying to defend her from the other creatures. So it's very simple. It's about surviving, you know. If you don't move, you die. You don't have to collect things. It's just you have to survive. You got to move forward, because if you stay too much time in a place, predators will come and you will die. So if you want to know what will be the next, just move, just act. So it's very simple, in fact. Thank you for listening to me and the story of this big game, King Kong. Yeah! It's running now? No? Right. Okay. It answers your question?
Full Auto is the most destructive racing game ever. It's completely dynamic, emergent gameplay. It's a fully interactive world. Everything in the world you can destroy, damage, blow apart. I mean, it's all about amazingly fast cars, incredibly powerful weapons, and the ability to hybridize racing and combat in a way that people have never experienced before. We're not a kart racer. We're not cartoony. We don't have power-ups. We're visceral. We're in your face. We're raw. We're the most realistic world that we can possibly imagine at this time, and we're using every ounce of power of Xbox 360. We're really focusing on, the loud, natural, like we want the weapons to be as realistic as possible. You're not gonna find lasers, you're not gonna find crazy stuff and plasma guns, right? We've concepted 20 cars right now, each with a very unique personality, different handling, different parameters, different weight system tuning. So you'll get a real sense that when you're driving them, oh, I'm driving the Vulcan now, or oh, I'm driving the Wraith. You can tell, both in sense of speed, etc. They also have different loadouts in terms of weapons, so you can only equip certain weapons on certain types of cars. So if you're really big and bulky, you might get the bigger weapons, but you're not going to get the pickup, you're not going to get the power slide, you're not going to get that engine power that you get in an exotic sports car. You'll be unlocking new cars, you'll be unlocking new weapons, we're obviously introducing new threats. We have a 60-event career mode whereby you kind of go through the city. The fiction is that all these events are happening in one brutal day. I mean, this is the full auto. This is an organized event. It's like race or die. You have to survive these events. You've got to perform. You've got to take out your competition. As you do that, we introduce new cars that are better than you. We introduce new weapons that are better than you. You have to overcome those challenges to earn those weapons and earn those cars and then continue to use them. You can go back into the game, into previous tracks with those new elements and get a completely different experience. I mean, the Garment District wouldn't be the same if you're driving with a machine gun and a grenade launcher. If you go in with a shotgun and a missile launcher, suddenly it's a whole new ballgame.
At the core, it's an arcade racing game. You're on a track, you don't have to explore, you don't have to free roam, you're right in the gameplay immediately. However, within that racetrack, there's so many different things to discover. You can take alternate paths, you can make alternate paths, you can force cars off one road, you can force them into the water, you can force them into buildings. It's amazing just how deep our world is. And we've never been able to do this in other racing games. So we've got 10 weapons in the game with 3 levels each. So we've got basically 30 weapons to put on your car. You can put any 2 of those weapons on the car that you like. So what we're finding developing the game is we're experimenting with different combinations of weapons, and that lends itself to different play styles. If you want a tank cannon and smoke screen, if you're that kind of player, or if you're more about the full-on offensive with machine guns and missiles, you just pick what you like and suit your car and your weapons to your style of play. We're going to start you off with a basic set of cars and a basic set of weapons, and in the first district in the city of Staunton, a fictional city that we've created. And then what you'll do is through the career mode, by completing events and surviving them, you're going to earn more cars, more weapons, and more tracks to race on. When you go online, you're going to expose your play style to every other person playing full auto, and you're going to have people possibly forming clans based on the fact that, I'm a muscle car guy, or we're going up against the import tuners, and we're all going against the monster truck guys. So we're going to have a lot of people expose the depth of the game by going online. The highlight reels are a way of bragging about your accomplishments. All of your best racing moments, all of your best destruction moments and combat moments are automatically compiled into a highlight reel that you can view at the end of the race. You can save it to your hard drive and watch it in your living room, but you can also upload it to your Xbox Live account and share it with the rest of the full auto community. So you're going to get people compiling highlight reels with just crazy, crazy highlight packages. Some of them more geared towards stunts, others geared towards destruction, towards this weapon, towards that weapon, and people are going to see just how deep full auto is.
Okay, so I think there's the 3 main areas that are fairly new or innovative in the technology right now. Number 1 is physics, and I think the main aspect that's really innovative there is we have a very cohesive system that governs the entire world. So everything you do interacts through the physics system, and that gives a player an unprecedented level of agency and power within the world to do whatever they want. So everything is destroyable. Everything responds physically. The physics affects the gameplay because things fall over you. You can shoot missiles into a building and the building will tumble down and crush your opponents. The other areas that we've innovated in are the unwreck, which is basically being able to go back in time. This is a little bit like Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, but in the racing genre. And I find it's really nice to be able to go through a race and take a lot of risks, and if you barely miss them, be able to undo that and go back and try them again. The final area that we're innovating in is presentation. And that goes beyond just graphics. I think a lot of it is the overall dynamics of the game, the way in which everything moves, everything reacts, and everything responds. Right now, the graphics are at a fairly early stage, especially the lighting, because we're working on non-final hardware, and we're looking at kind of the core gameplay strengths, core aspects of gameplay. But I think we're going to push the presentation way over the top. It's a very intense game, and we're going to make it so the player really feels like they're a hero by doing good camera shots, by doing over-the-top visuals, high contrast, HDR lighting. We're doing, of course, HD 1280 by 720 full-screen anti-aliasing, which is, the image quality is going to be unsurpassed.
Downloadable content for sure, and for all those live users, oh my God, yeah, get ready. Full Auto's going to rock live. I mean, we've got 8-player support at least, at minimum. We've got arena modes, we've got the racing modes, we've got pursuit modes, we've got mini games. I mean, you can get on live and have a blast. And if you're not on live, you should be, but if you're not on live, offline, you'll have 4-player split screen, and you can go to town. I mean, Full Auto's a party in a box.
My name is Mr. Inafune. I am the producer of Dead Rising. This is actually a title for the Xbox 360. In this game, the main character is a photojournalist that is following a key incident he thinks will be the next big scoop for him. When he gets to a mall, he finds himself totally surrounded by tons and tons of zombies. That was one of the key concepts, is that we wanted to just make a game that is just chock full of zombies. And so he must, as he is stuck in this situation, survive at least 10 days in order to escape, and then hopefully get the big scoop. That is the main goal of the game. With this game, the main character finds himself stuck in this mall with all these zombies. He is just your average everyday Joe. He's a photojournalist. He's not somebody with intense military training. He's no superhero. He only has his camera when he first arrives on the scene. So he has to search them all, find something that could be used for weapons, and then use those weapons to fight against the zombies. How you kill the zombies, what you choose to take as your weapons, is going to largely depend, or rather be limited on, the player's imagination. We were shooting for getting the most number of zombies on the screen that we could. Unfortunately, we right now only have alpha kits, and so that's only going to be about a third, a fourth of the power that the final units will actually have. So one of the biggest challenges was to take an alpha kit and make a game, or make a video, or rather for E3, that would represent what the final game would look like. And as you saw in the one scene at the end of the video, we have been able to achieve over 1,000 different enemies on the screen at one time. As this is a game that features zombies, and it is by Capcom, it will invariably be compared to Resident Evil. Resident Evil itself is a great game that is based around sort of like total fear. It's got a sort of gothic touch to the graphics, and is got a main character that's just super cool. It's super dark. Whereas this game is totally in a different direction. What we wanted to create was a game that seemed real, i.e. the main character himself is nobody that looks cool. Matter of fact, one could even say he's ugly. So we did not want that sort of Hollywood super ultra fear to be the main concept. We wanted it to be how you can take this main average character, fight against these impossible odds, and beat them without any super cool Hollywood sort of moves. This is just your average everyday Joe trying to survive the situation he has been pitted against. So there's even sort of like a room for maybe some light comedic elements in the game itself, but it's definitely going to be totally in a different direction from what you have with Resident Evil. One area we were focusing on with this game is to try and give the player a lot of different scenes that could possibly occur. What we've done is kind of place an emphasis on the human dramatic element that occurs when people are stuck in these impossible circumstances, in this most likely a situation in which they are going to die. I personally feel that the zombies aren't the scariest things in this game. The scariest things in this game are going to be the people, because people, they have conscience, they have free will, they can act like your friend and then betray you. You do not know whether they are friend or foe. There's sort of an unknown element about human nature that we are going to play upon when we make this game. So this human drama that occurs in the game is going to be one key area. A lot of different characters you're going to see may have ulterior motives, they may not, but you as the player will have options of how you choose to interact with those characters. For example, the girl that you're leading. If she does strip, do you leave her there and save your own butt, pardon my French, or do you go back for her? Is there something to be gained by saving her? All of those are going to come down to have their own consequences, but they're going to be key choices that are offered to the player. That player has to decide how they want to take this main character and proceed through the game. For me as a person, or rather as a creator, I'm kind of, how should I put it, greedy. I want to make lots of different types of games with lots of different themes. Some for children, some based on history, some based on fantasy, some based on reality, some with zombies, some without zombies. I think probably a true creator has probably 100 different ideas in his mind, and of course he wants to proceed, or rather pursue, all of those ideas. Unfortunately, not everybody gets that opportunity. I am lucky enough to have had the chance to pursue a lot of my different ideas in the past. And with this game, what I wanted to do was make a zombie game. You know, we're Capcom, we're famous for Resident Evil games. I actually had a hand in one in the past. And so, therefore, this, I thought, was my chance to focus on a zombie game and try a new idea out for the first time. Right now, I'm currently in charge of overseeing all of the Capcom R&D projects. That in itself is a very busy task. So, while I would love to work on every single one of those, I have to kind of focus where I'm going to put my time and energy now that I'm responsible for everything. This game happens to be the one that I want to focus on, put my time and energy into. Thank you very much for your time. I know it's going to be a wonderful game. I know it's going to be a fresh gameplay experience that I think everybody can look forward to. You can look forward to it sometime, hopefully near launch. It may not come out exactly at launch, but we're working our best to get it out sooner than later. So hopefully at a very close time to when the Xbox 360 is launched, and that is, of course, the platform that will be launched for, the Xbox 360. So look for it, enjoy it, and thank you very much for your time.
The dead getting up and walking? Zombies. I'm not nuts, though.
I'm Matt Atwood, and I'm actually director of PR for 2K Sports in the US. I got involved with 2K Sports. I've been working in video games for about, 12 years now. And honestly, I'd been at Capcom for many years, and I said I want to try something totally different, but the only thing is I was spoiled at Capcom because we had such good games, so I have to go to a place where games I like, and I'd like it to be in a nice area, and 2K Sports is both, so. You know, Tossfin 2, I think what it does incredibly well are the environment effects. I mean, gameplay and animation are so key, and I think they were really good in the first, and obviously Xbox 360 allows you to do much more, whether it be the way the players move, to stylize the players. You know, like where Sharapova is going to look a lot like Sharapova. In fact, she'll look identical to her because she was, you know, we use mocap and we use videos, and we constantly look at how they play, what they do when they're not playing, when they're, you know, standing or waiting, or how they're reacting, because of course you have the attitude button. So I think it's sort of a simple answer, if you will, but it's you know, the biggest things we have always strived for is realism. I think games have always strived for is realism. But 2K Sports is a simulation company, and what that means is we believe that we need to get as true to the sport and as true to the experience as possible. And the challenge always is doing that, but making it fun. And so we always sort of remember we're a video game, but as you get further and further, you sort of face a greater challenge there as well. How do you make this respond as well, and how do you make it more realistic, and how do you make the characters sort of react the way you want them to, all without all with enhancing the gameplay. And you basically do that by starting with a great foundation and then working out. So you make sure your animation, your gameplay is tight, and then you develop the styles, the visuals, the textures, the environment effects. All those things come after you make a good solid core. Well, when you do things like creating faces and, I mean, some of the tricks I can't give you only because it's sort of what makes it so realistic, but basically what you do is you start with your facial structure, and that's done by, you know, we do body scans and image scans of players, and we relate that data to other players and how it works. And we study, not only do we meet the players and work with them and get a lot of photo information and scanning information that way, but we also do a lot of watching them in matches and replaying, you know, just little things like when somebody does a backhand, like maybe Sharapova's leg kicks higher than someone's. And so we note that, and you go back and you look again and again and again, and the more you watch something, the more you're going to notice each person's unique attributes. And so, I mean, that's one way, but if you get into the faces, it's even more, you basically get a lot of close-up shots of the players. You look at their facial structure. When you model, you continually use that as reference. And if you've got a scan of a player, of course, that's what you use as your basic starting. If you don't, you're using sort of your basic scan. You rely on the work of a lot of talented artists. Well, first programmers, then artists to, you know, take the photos, and, you know, they don't just look back and forth at the photos. They actually pull them in and use them as reference and actually sculpt them onto the players. But then you've got sort of two levels onto the player models. You've got sort of two levels. One is getting the basics right again, which is getting their facial structure, getting the height of their eyebrows, the height of their cheekbone, all those things. And then you go and you wrap their next level of texture, which is anywhere from blemishes to a variety of skin textures. If you notice people's skin, like when they have you know, men, if they've shaved, they're going to have a little bit more raised texture there. Some people have scars in certain places. We make sure we model not only the, you know, that we notice there's a scar there and we put it there, but we also look at the scar, what's the shape, what's the texture, how deep does it go, all of those things. Or if it's a mole, for instance, you look at how high is it, how far does it stick off their face. I mean, you're really getting into this almost minutia of detail. It's a huge challenge, but you know, if you can do it right and you spend the time, you get the results like you saw. Every time we work with players and we show them their face or their you know, their body in the game, they always are surprised at first. They always smile and say, "Oh my gosh, do I look like that? Is that me? Is that me?" I mean, I think, yeah, with Xbox 360, you know, you're pushing these new limits, and you're going to see players look at themselves and say, "Do I have this there?" And then they're going to look in the mirror and they say, "I do have this." You know, they got it right. Or you know, they're all going to look, anytime you get more and more realistic, none of us, we all have our flaws in how we look, so those things may stand out more to them, but really all we're doing is looking exactly at the source material and then accurately representing it. So yeah, you may see some players who say, "Hey, wait a minute, this is too real," but that's our goal, is to achieve that. And if we can get them to sort of react that way, we know we've done a good job. Yeah, I mean, basically, when you made a player model before, you started with a skeleton, and then you put skin on top, and then you textured it. But today, what you do is you start with a skeleton, then you put muscles, then you put skin, and then you put a layer of textures, and then put another layer of textures. And basically what that does is it creates sort of, you know, really what you're doing now is, it used to be you'd go for perfection. Now you're looking to create imperfection in a perfect way. I know that sounds a little crazy, but as you go through, well, for instance, somebody, as I mentioned before, has blemishes or these type of things, you got to make sure you cover that. But as you get into the muscle area and into the sort of the physics element and the biology of it. You know, our muscles are not outside of our skin. Our skin is not the shape of our muscles. Our skin is elastic and it goes over muscles. So as our muscles contract, the skin rises and it basically creates tension with it. And as they release, you find that the skin tension is no longer there. So, you know, you do that and what you come up with is something pretty real looking. I mean, you know, basically if you have muscles underneath, then they're going to respond like muscles underneath. No. We, you know, one thing we've gotten that question actually quite a bit is, well, you know, what will happen? Will you lose your TV presentation? I mean, if you look at the history of 2K Sports, we've always, you know, you guys have always, the reviewers have always said your presentation is top notch, and it was, you know, no matter what we were doing or what style presentation we were doing, we always focused on making it the best. I mean, a big part of our development teams basically look at presentation as a huge part of realism and gameplay, because when you sit down to watch a game, you're not just watching the players play, you're watching what a network shows you as far as on-screen graphics, announcers, cutscenes. All those type of things happen in the game, and if you can't achieve it in the video game, then you've not been true. So really what we do is we have a lot of reference, and we've been doing this for many years, and we've always done that well. So we'll stick to what we know, but also continue to look as we have more capabilities, continue to make it more realistic and add more elements. This year it will be, you know, you'll see either a greater jump or as equal to jump as we've made with our presentation as we did the last year. So we always get better with it. And we always learn new techniques and tricks to sort of make people feel like they're there. But when we announce our talent involved with our game, I think a lot of people, you know, who are fans of the different sports will recognize them. And that's a big part of it. And it's also about, you know, presentation. The other element is about your announcers and how they record. And one of the things we've always done very well, and again got a lot of credit for, is sort of making sure the play calling is in tune with the on-screen action. And you know, each year, even if we have new announcers, we still have all those source files that we can reference and go back to, and you know, have them do those lines, and then we add new lines each year. So every year you're going to get a next level of realism.
Okay. And the website thing sounds fascinating, like trying to build a community, build your own news website and stuff like that. And could you just talk us through that and kind of ideas you've had for that?
Right. Excuse me. When we, you know, one of the things about sports is it's really about competition. It's about playing against people. So we knew that online leagues were sort of a natural answer to this, and basically people wanted to compete, but they didn't want to just play one game. Some people who really love the game want to play multiple games, and they want to have bragging rights, and they want to be #1 within their group of friends. So instead of having all your friends over, which is always a great thing, but the computer wouldn't keep track of it, you'd just play games and you'd notch it down, or whatever you decided to do. Now the computer's keeping track of everything, and all that data gets dumped to our website. And then you can go in there and write editorial on the different games that happened in the league this week. If you had a really good game or you want to rub it in someone's face, you can write your own. Excuse me. When we, you know, one of the things about sports is it's really about competition. It's about playing against people. So we knew that online leagues were sort of a natural answer to this, and basically people wanted to compete, but they didn't want to just play one game. Some people who really love the game want to play multiple games, and they want to have bragging rights, and they want to be #1 within their group of friends. So instead of having all your friends over, which is always a great thing, but the computer wouldn't keep track of it, you'd just play games and you'd notch it down, or whatever you decided to do. Now the computer's keeping track of everything, and all that data gets dumped to our website. You can go in there and write editorial on the different games that happened in the league this week. If you had a really good game or you want to rub it in someone's face, you can write your own story. You can create your polls: who's the best team, who's the most improved team. You can take screenshots from the games and put it into your news story. You can take other shots from your buddies, maybe a vacation you had that you don't want that you don't want to remember, they want you to remember, and they can embarrass you. Or it's just about having fun, and it's about sort of stretching the community lines and really making it a compelling experience. The NHL, of course, it's all played on ice, and so your starting point is the ice. And if your ice doesn't look real, then you're already removed. So we put a lot of focus on that. And one thing we noticed as we were looking at footage and as we went to the hockey stadiums or in arenas and looked at it, the ice is textured. Everybody thinks of ice as a flat surface, which it is. It's fairly flat, but actually ice doesn't freeze evenly. And so when you look at a reflection in the ice, the reflection doesn't look even either. And so we created what we call texture reflection. And so if I look at my face in one part of the ice, it's going to sort of shape and mold with that. And if I look at my face in another part of the ice, it's going to shape and mold with that form. So as you go through and you look at different things like the scoreboards reflecting on the ice and those type of things, it adds, you get the sense of what ice really looks like and what it really feels like. And then you do things like, as you skate on ice, it gets less reflective and it gets more muddled up, and you'll see that as you play. The longer you play our game, the more skates are going to go across it, and so the less reflection you're going to get, the more damage the ice is, but the more texture you're going to get. So the reflections in there have to apply to that, and then you'll see that you'll see the reflections look how they would look. I mean, I think as a hockey fan, there's always concern that there won't be an NHL season. We've heard some good rumblings, but keep in mind we're right with everybody else. I mean, of course, we have a great relationship with the NHL, and they keep us apprised. But it's really, everybody sort of knows what's going on, and we're all just waiting to see and hoping. We're hoping there'll be good news coming up soon. Worried, yeah, we're worried as far as not from everybody, because everybody's sports fans and we're all hockey fans. So we're worried as fans. We want that sport to return. We want it to be as strong or more strong as it always was. But I mean, I think it's really the answer is within them, and hopefully they'll come to a conclusion soon, because we just want to see it on the ice. But from a company perspective, last year we had our best sales year ever. Certainly, we think it doesn't relate to the strike at all. We did some things that we really pushed the game. We got the best reviews we ever had. So, I mean, once we get an NHL season, it's going to be that much stronger. But right now, I think a lot of people too are saying, if I can't see it on TV, I'm at least going to play it. We had a lot of, in the U.S., we had a lot of the media calling us for, there's a lot of hockey reporters right now looking for stuff to talk about, aside from, the happenings. And so we'll recreate games for them. We've done things that's gone as far as taking into a newspaper through an entire season. Like they did a week-by-week update. And I think, that's the type of thing games can offer, is whether there's a season or not, you can still go get your hockey fix by playing our game. And that's why, that's where we think our strength is. Again, it's creating the simulation and creating the experience.
This time, you're in control. We're putting you at the center of the experience. Welcome to Xbox 360. Magical products are the synthesis of really diverse sets of people that share a singular vision. We put together a team of hundreds of people bringing living entertainment to life through a blend of technology and art and community.
Every major publisher that has any level of impact to our industry is fully committed to Xbox 360. All of this will come together to create a truly next-generational experience that's going to blow people away.
We have truly expanded the entertainment universe with Xbox 360. Xbox 360 Guide, it is your launch pad to all of your digital entertainment. It's a place you go to connect mobile devices or connect to your PC, your digital cameras, your MP3 players, your digital audio players. Xbox 360 is the connected generation of console. You want to go in for a gaming experience with friends in real time, where you're sharing the vibrant stories that these game developers are creating? In the box is the key. that lets you do that. Xbox Live, every single game is Xbox Live aware. High definition, every single game is in high def. We'll actually have custom faceplates that you can buy, just like your cell phone, that you snap on the front of that console, and you change the entire look of the console to be your own. And if you want to extend that personalization into the software, you'll be able to go to the Xbox Live Marketplace, right there in the Xbox 360 guide, and download new themes and skins to make the software look like your personalized hardware. It's really going to revolutionize how we think about shopping, downloading, trying, buying, and playing new downloadable content.
I think in the past, video games have been a more relaxed sit back and play.
We're now growing up as gamers and we're evolving to the next wave.
When we look at what we mean by HD, we mean the entire immersive experience that high definition will bring to this generation of games. True crisp visuals that flow and look cinematic.
Where you see feathers on birds and you see blades of grass.
Bullets flying around your head, soccer balls whizzing across the screen.
Individual leaves blowing in trees.
I think about not only visual, but audio.
And you're whipping your head around because you heard something come from behind you.
I think about the ability to bring games to life even on televisions that don't have high definition capability.
The big shift as we move into the HD era of games with Xbox 360 is that the community themselves are going to be able to leave more of a lasting impression. Now, we're going to let the gamers control the paintbrushes. They're going to be able to control the environments in new ways. They'll be able to customize their cars, they'll be able to design their own racetracks, they'll be able to paint their own skateboards and design their own skate parks. When we thought about sculpting 360, we thought about very different than Xbox One. We wanted it to have an iconic shape.
The basic gesture of the new console is double concavity. It's derived from the idea of an inhale or of a spring that's fully coiled.
The iconic gesture is suggestive of a very deep soul within the system. And like sculpture, we took away and we took away and we took away until we got to the essence of the product.
Welcome to the new generation of gaming. This is the Xbox 360 game console. First feature I want to point out about this game console is it can go both vertical or horizontal. Working from bottom to top, we've got two standard USB ports with a door that hinges inward. Moving upward, we have the power button surrounded by the ring of light. And the ring is how the wireless controllers work in conjunction with the console. It tells you which wireless port you're assigned to. Moving upward, you have the connect button, and that associates a wireless controller with the wireless console. There are two memory units, memory unit A, memory unit B. They both have doors that hinge inward. There's an IR window for your remote control. Moving to the DVD and eject button, we have the Xbox 360 brand proudly brandished on the DVD tray. Moving to the top or the left-hand side, we've got the hard drive, and this uses the same chrome fit and finish as the DVD drive and as the hard drive badge. The controller for Xbox 360 has some features that are familiar to our users, some features that are sort of new. Between the cross section, we have start and back buttons. They've been relocated to the center. They flank the Xbox 360 button. Anytime you press that button, you go to the UI. And that is represented by our logo in the next generation. The D-pad, we've reshaped the two-dimensional outline to work better with our aesthetic while keeping the basic contours virtually identical. So we feel like overall we've made all the buttons a little more accessible and a little more comfortable for our users. I love making shapes. I love making shapes that have intelligence built into them. Welcome to the new generation of gaming, Xbox 360.
You know, I don't know where Xbox 360 is going, right? I mean, I've kind of done my part by finishing this product up and unleashing on the world. I'm looking forward to what the world's going to do with it.
Europe is an incredible hotbed of development talent and will be a very important part of our launch portfolio. In particular, two developers we're very, very excited about. Rare out of the UK will be bringing both Perfect Dark Zero and Cameo to the Xbox 360, and Bizarre Creations from Liverpool will of course be bringing the third iteration of the very successful franchise Project Gotham Racing to the Xbox 360 as part of the launch portfolio.
Xbox 360, it's always on, it's always connected, it's always personalized, and it's always in high def. You're in control.
Comscom activated. Vulture, this is Ghost Leader. Multiple strikers bearing 120. Copy that, Ghost Leader. Targets acquired. Vulture, Ghost Leader. Target is confirmed. Acknowledged, Ghost Leader. They're on their way. I'll take the sniper. Ramirez, take the tank. I'm on it. Form up on me. Let's keep moving. Fuckers hit! Give us cover! Multiple hostiles located. Light them up!